Namaste to all of you. It's 6 o'clock. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes for people to join and then we'll start off. It's 6:03. We'll wait for 2 more minutes. We'll start sharp by 6:05. All right, we are good to go. Namaste. It's a very pleasant evening to all of you who have joined this session. I take this opportunity to really thank all of you for joining in early and following the rules of the webinar. The moment you joined in, you put yourself on mute. I really appreciate each one of you for following the rules of the session. It's a pleasure that I have with me Professor Dr. Dharmesh HS. He's currently the professor at Rajarajeshwari Dental College. He finished his BDS from the Dental College at Hassan under the University of Mysore, and did his MDS from Rajarajeshwari Dental College under RGUHS. A neighbor of mine, a very good friend of mine, a person who is always available for his patients. I still remember there was a time when I had to wake him up in the middle of the night, somewhere around 12:30, to take him to visit one of my relatives who was in a critical condition. He really obliged and took me along in his car to ensure that the patient was really taken care of. So with this small introduction, I take this opportunity to really thank Dr. Dharmesh for joining today's session. Thank you, Dr. Dharmesh.
Good evening, Karthik, and good evening one and all who are present here.
All right, so
it's a pleasure to it's a pleasure to hear from you, Karthik. Always you're always smiling, and you're always enterprising. Okay, good to have you here, and it's an opportunity for me to speak in your webinar.
Thank you so much, Dharmesh. So to all the people who have joined the session would go like this. It will have 3 parts. Part 1 will be before BDS. If somebody is really interested to take up BDS or dentistry as a course, what should they do? What are the various nitty-gritties with respect to the exam pattern, exams that they need to write, competition for joining in, and of course finances, what are the finance decisions that they need to take. Then we will look at significantly during the course of BDS, what should somebody do in order to really be on top of their studies. Then we will look at post BDS. Post BDS, what is the scenario, whether MDS is necessary. Post BDS, how do you set up a clinic, are there opportunities abroad? So these are some of the things that we would be covering during this conversation. If time permits, of course, we will be taking your questions as well. So with this background, I once again welcome Dr. Dharmesh into the session. The first question that I have for you, Doctor, what is BDS and why is this a separate specialization? Now we know the moment somebody wants to get into life sciences, there are 2 popular options that students always want to take. One is MBBS and the other one is BDS. Now why is so much importance given to the teeth?
Karthik, as you asked me, BDS is not Bachelor of Dental Sciences. It is a Bachelor of Dental Surgery. It is a surgery. It's a so BDS by itself is a specialization. So once you say after MBBS you do the dermatology or MD and become a physician. Similarly, BDS itself is a specialty. So you are called as Bachelor of Dental Surgery, and Bachelor of Dental Surgery is so vast. So we need so many years to study that. That's the reason why it is a separate specialty.
All right, thank you, Doctor. How does one get into BDS?
To get into BDS, you need to the pre-qualification is +2 or second PUC. You should have cleared the second PUC exams with minimum of 50% exams results with PCMB or PCB. physics, chemistry, and biology. That is the basic criteria. Along with that, you need to take up the competitive exams like NEET. Before KEA, CET, and all those things were there. Now, NEET is the one exam for all over India.
All right. So, what do you think is the no? There is a lot of competition when we talk about MBBS, primarily with respect to the number of seats that are available. With respect to number of seats, the number of people who are trying to write these exams are quite high. So, what is the kind of competition that somebody can expect in these examinations?
So, unlike before, we used to have less number of colleges and less number of seats. Now, the number of colleges, if you see all over India, we have about 232 colleges all over India, and almost all the colleges have about 60 or 100 intake seats. So, you have plenty number of seats. So, opportunities are there. You will get seats, either a merit seat or a payment seat or a management seat. You will get a lot of seats. In the basic criteria is 50% in the plus 2 exams, and the NEET. If you NEET will have a cutoff ranking. Once you clear that, you'll be able to join.
That's comforting to hear that compared to MBBS, the number of seats with respect to BDS are quite high, thereby giving children an opportunity to really get into the streams. One other question that many students have asked me, sir, the moment I talk about medicine, the moment I talk about either MBBS or BDS, the cost factor always comes into picture. Now, how costly it is, how do I manage my finances? This has always been the question that is being asked. So, what is the average fee across colleges for either a merit seat or a payment seat or a management seat? If you can give rough estimates so that students who are here can get a better picture.
Usually we have, as you said, you have two types of seat. One is a merit seat and the other one is a payment seat or the management seat. The merit seat is around, the last year fees was 72,485 per year. So into 4 times, 4 years is the course. So when it comes to the management seat, it comes to around 5,22,818 was the last year fees into 4 times. So every year, so much is the fees.
All right. So what are the various finance options available? Say, for example, if somebody wants to take up the management seat, how difficult it is. Now, we always talk about return on investment when any student joins any course. How do I get back the money is always the question in somebody's mind. Do you think somebody who's really interested in BDS but does not have the money right now, after paying 5 lakhs for the period of 4 years, do you think after 4 years he'll be able to really get back whatever he's invested in?
First thing, Karthik, BDS is 4 plus 1 years. The 4 years plus 1 year of internship. Totally it is 5 years.
Okay.
So once you complete 5 years, you are eligible to start your clinic. Once you register with the Karnataka State Dental Council and have your degree, you'll be certified to practice. So if you start your clinic, definitely you will, as you said, the return on investment, it's definitely assured if you start your practice.
Okay, so is there any mandatory service, rural service that somebody has to do post BDS for a certain number of years, something like that?
No, definitely no. There is no rural service or community service after the 5 years. It is 4 plus 1 years, very clear. 4 years of BDS and 1 year of internship, so 5 years, that's it.
All right. So these questions basically answer the general aspects related to BDS. Now let me go to specifics. What are the various branches? What are the various fields that somebody can branch out post BDS? Do you have any specializations under this specialization itself?
Dentistry as such is a specialization, I told you in the beginning, Karthik.
Yeah.
But to be more specific, we have clinical and non-clinical subjects or branches, I would say, in the dentistry. So you have the opportunity to do your post-graduation in both, either the clinical or non-clinical subjects. There are about 9 branches in dentistry. That is, you can do your post-graduation in 9 different branches. You have the option of doing it in either one of the 9 branches.
All right. So could you please let us know what are the 9 branches, Dharmesh?
The one is number 1 is orthodontics, where as you see, they do the braces and they treat the patients. The number 2 is restorative and endodontics. The most commonly heard is the fillings and root canal treatment. The number 3 is prosthodontics, where they do the replace the teeth. Number 4 is periodontics. Periodontics is involved with the gums, and the periodontics that is related to the kids. Next, these are the clinical subjects. When it comes to non-clinical, you have community dentistry, oral medicine. Community dentistry is related to the community service, and the oral medicine is related to the diagnosis. And oral pathology, which is a good subject, it's a non-clinical, but where you study only about the pathology and microbiology of the oral tissues. These are the 9 different branches.
Yeah, so pretty exhaustive, even though it is a specialization in itself. Good to see that there are so many branches where students who are pursuing BDS can really pick or choose something that they really want to do in the future. Now, what after BDS? Now, I did my 4+1. If I stand on the road and I need to look for the various avenues that I have? What can somebody look out for? What are the various options available for somebody who finishes BDS?
Once you finish your BDS, you have 2 options, Karthik. Whether you want to work or study further. So if you want to work, whether you want to be self-employed or you want to work for somebody else. If you want to be self-employed, you can go ahead and you have all the liberty to start your practice, and you can go ahead and practice yourself. Or if you want to work, you have various options. You can go into the other than the clinic. If you don't want to work in a clinic or continue with the dentistry, you can go for clinical research, the medical transcription, or biotechnology, or different researchers. Okay. When it comes to if you want to pursue your education further, you can do your post-graduation in any of the 9 subjects, or you can join for diploma or Master of Hospital Administration or MPH, Master of Public Health. These are the various options we'll have.
All right. So how difficult it is for somebody who's finished his BDS, his or her BDS, to join a hospital? Now, what does a hospital look for in a candidate if they want to take him as a doctor?
They usually look for the experience, clinical experience, Karthik. So it's I would suggest if you are looking at working as a clinician, either you have to work with somebody for some time, gain some clinical experience. The reason why I'm telling you to work under somebody or work with somebody is the college, the curriculum teaches is different than the practice.
Yeah.
The curriculum teaches you how to diagnose, but it will not teach you how to manage the patient. The patient management skill comes by practice. This, which is not taught in any of the schools or the dental colleges, it's entirely a different scenario. The treating a patient in the private setup or treating the patient in the college is entirely different. So I usually tell my students it's very important to have a good communication skill and use your knowledge to make the patient understand, unlike in the college. So it's better to work with somebody and then go ahead and start your practice or join any clinics. Usually what happens is when you go for an interview in the hospital or a clinic, usually the doctors look for these credentials, your communication skills and the clinical skills. These are the two things usually they look for.
Okay, so if somebody wants to work with a specialist, is there any eligibility criteria that you should have completed 2 years? You should be in your 3rd year or 4th year. Is there any specification with respect to the year of BDS?
Usually, Karthik, what happens is you will not find time as a student to join any clinic because you'll have exhaustive subjects and lot of work. It is not like any other degree. You'll have practical classes, you have theory classes, and you will have theory internals and practical internals continuously. Every once in 3 months, everything will be going on simultaneously. So you'll not find time, frankly speaking, in 3rd year or final year. So usually what happens is once they finish their final year, when they are doing their internship, usually they go approach and they start working with other dentists who are practicing somewhere near to their locality.
So when they're doing their internships, do they get paid some stipend or something, or do they need to pay the senior with whom they are working? How does this work generally?
No. Usually the doctor usually pays to the interns or so-called doctors. Any doctor for that matter, they won't take any fees or anything from the students.
Yeah, so which means it is entirely left to the students' ability to go approach as many doctors as possible to ensure that they gain the required experience. Now, based on your experience, so somebody is done 4+1 years, he's finished his internship as well. When does somebody get hold of, hey, I am confident now to go ahead do a surgery? Again, I know this is left to each individual, how hard they work, how quickly they grasp the various nitty-gritties. But based on your experience, when can you say a doctor is ready?
Karthik, to be very frank, I want to tell you one thing which is very different from other branches or other fields. The dentistry is the only branch or the only field where a student has to work on the patient. As a student, he has to work on the patient. He has to prove his skill to pass the exam.
Oh, can you just elaborate further on that? So the examination is based on how they treat a patient, is it?
Exactly. I want to see if imagine if it's a oral surgery, it's a subject. Oral surgery is one of the subjects. If he has to pass the practical exam of the oral surgery, he has to give the injection, local anesthesia. He has to extract a tooth. Only then he'll be clearing his exam. This is not there in any other field or in any other branch, Karthik. This is the specialty of dentistry. Even in medicine, they diagnose, and on their diagnosis and the Viva OC, they'll be cleared exams at the undergraduate level, and there is no other subject or no other field where they have to treat the patients, unlike here in dentistry. In dentistry, each subject, when it comes to oral surgery, they have to extract the tooth. When it comes to conservative dentistry, they have to do a filling, restoration on the patient, and they have to prove their skill. When it comes to the prosthodontics, they have to do a procedure, one of the procedures of the denture. Periodontics, they need to do the scaling of on the patient, and they have to prove. It's like that. So when it comes to pedodontics, they have to treat a kid, and you know how difficult it is to treat a kid, managing the kid and treating the kid. So this is when the student gets the pass, the basic pass, I would say.
Oh, this is something that I never heard. Probably this is the only profession where the student gets cleared based on practical experience. Unlike every other professions that I've heard, it's only when they join a company for a job, when a project is given to them, that's when they get tested. Now, this is really a very surprising fact. Thank you so much for letting me know. There was one question in the chat box. What happens to a student if he fails this examination?
Fails this examination, if he fails. That's it.
So how many chances does somebody get?
Chances are there. See, again, it depends. See, me as a professor, I've been teaching from last 9 years. I should not judge a student based on one day's examination.
Yeah.
See, it's my duty to see the student. See, whenever I say exam, whether it's my student or myself, because I have come through all these stages, so the students get panicked.
There's one more question there, sidelines. What actually happens to the patient? So this is something that we really need to appreciate, the people who are working in the life sciences, because if somebody is a software engineer, if he messes up with the program, nothing happens. He can rewrite the program. If I'm a teacher, if I write something on the board and if it is not right, I can erase on the board and then write the correct answer. But in your case, you have a live person sitting in front. Oh, how do you people really have the mental mindset that hey, if I do something wrong, it is going to affect the life of an individual there? So what goes in your minds?
This is a very good question actually. What happens is our exams are designed in such a way wherein we don't give the difficult cases to the students. The cases which have been treated by them over a period of, usually what happens when they come to third year, they usually spend about 1.5 months in one department. So they would have done at least about closely about 25 to 30 cases in the third year, and again about 25 to 30 cases in the final year. So most of the times they are competent enough. Otherwise also we are there, or we are always there. So mishaps happens, but we are there to rectify. As teachers and as examiners, we are always there. So usually it doesn't happen. One in 100. Yes.
Yeah. So to all the students who are currently in the session right now, the ones who are in their BDS, I think we would have heaved a sigh of relief when you said that the difficult cases are not given to them. There's one more question. Are there any separate exam to be written in order to find a job in government hospitals as a dentist?
When it comes to the government, if you are looking at working in the government setup, then usually the government has their own protocol. They conduct, they call for an interview, they conduct their exams. Yes, they along with if they want to work in Karnataka, they have to clear one Kannada exam also. And along with that, they'll have an interview. There is no written exam as such.
All right. You said that BDS itself is a specialization. So is it mandatory that somebody has to do an MDS? If yes, what do they actually learn in MDS?
When it comes to BDS, so usually we learn most of the procedures. Okay, so as a BDS, as I told you, you can go ahead and start your practice once you complete your 5 years, 4 plus 1 years of internship. You can register with the State Dental Council. Then you can start practicing. When it comes to MDS, so again, it depends on your specialty. You will be taking your specified branch, and you'll be specializing in that. For 3 years, you're going to work, and you'll be mastering that, as the name suggests, in one subject.
All right, got that. So before I go to the next set of questions that I have, I would open the forum for questions from the audience. So if anybody has any questions related to whatever has happened so far, related to the conversation so far, or if you have any other question related to BDS, the forum is open for your questions. Who'd like to go first? Anybody would like to ask a question to Dr. Dharmesh? Okay, so there's one question. What are the criteria required to proceed practice in abroad or MDS? So this is one of the questions from the audience, Dr. Dharmesh.
MDS is what you do, what you study, your masters here in India. And when it comes to abroad, different countries have their own different qualifying exams to practice or to study. Imagine if you're looking at US, then you'll have to go ahead and do the DDS there. That is about another 3 to 4 years of course. And if you're looking at UK, then you have to write a clear licensing exam and get yourself attached to the NHS. So different countries have different criteria and different exams, qualifying exams.
What is the level of competition, Dharmesh, when it comes to post-graduation at India and abroad? How many of them write these examinations? What is the approximate pass percentage, number of seats available? Can you throw some light on this?
To be very frank, let me not give any wrong information here. If you want to pursue a MDS, you'll have to give again PG NEET exams, and competition level is very high, very, very high. There are a lot of seats, but again, it depends. If you're looking at the clinical seats, then you'll definitely have to get a good ranking, and if you get good ranking, then you'll get seats in the government colleges. Okay, if you get a government college seat in the government college, then you will be paid a good handsome amount of stipend. But when it is, they don't pay any stipend.
So what is the approximate stipend that somebody gets paid, Dharmesh?
Colleges, most of the colleges, they don't pay, and I think in government college about 35,000 or 35 to 40,000 is stipend per month they get.
Okay, do you have, there's one more question from the audience. Do you have any diploma courses for masters?
Yes, Karthik. Diploma means the diploma is in clinical subjects like orthodontics and conservative dentistry and prosthodontics. And there is one more course which is combined all these subjects is that's called as aesthetic dentistry course, which tries to combine periodontics, conservative dentistry, and prosthodontics.
All right. So, what is the approximate fee that somebody has to shell out? I think even here you will have government seats and payment or management seats. What's the approximate fee that somebody has to pay for MDS?
For the post-graduation, again, as I told you, the clinical and non-clinical is there. For the clinical subject, last year fees was 4,81,000, and for the non-clinical, it was around 3,13,000. For the management seat, it's little high. Depends on the college. Say about 10 lakhs per year. The post-graduation MDS is 3 years course again after the 5 years of BDS. So each year the fees is around 10 lakhs plus, depending on the subject.
All right. You have an experience of working abroad. What are the steps that somebody has to take? What is the eligibility criteria? Do they have any criteria different countries, as you said, you said they have different criteria. How can one look for opportunities abroad?
Karthik, abroad, when you say abroad, there are a lot of countries, and it's again an ocean of opportunities. But your clinical acumen and your knowledge is tested here in a big time. What I'm trying to say is, when we say abroad, it's like everybody from the world. You're competing with everybody in the world. This is what I faced when I went and gave my exams, qualifying exams. For post BDS, yes, we have to write a prometric exam, and then I am speaking about the Middle East. You will have to write a prometric exam and then go ahead and get the license and then start working. When it comes to post masters MDS, usually they look for at least about 4 years experience. After that, you are supposed to go give theory exams, clear that. Once you clear the theory exams, you will have to give practical exams, and then you will be eligible to practice there.
All right, Dharmesh, there's one more question from the audience. The question is, you have MDS on one hand and you have these diploma courses on the other. As a doctor, which one, as an experienced doctor, which one would you suggest? Somebody taking up the formal MDS course, or somebody taking up the diploma courses, learning the skills one by one and then start practicing? Which one do you think is better?
MDS. Go for MDS always.
Any specific reason for that?
MDS is a 3 years course, and diploma is usually 2 years course. You need 3 years to master yourself. Say, if you say yourself a master, then you should be good at it, right?
Yeah, got that. Yeah, thank you.
So that's the reason. That's the reason why I would suggest it's always better to go for the masters. See, some people, what happens is they are clinically oriented and they will be practicing after the BDS, and they want to have some short-term courses. These people look into the diploma.
All right, got that, doctor. There's one more question that's come up in the chat box. Do you think the research and execution of vaccines for caries will affect endodontists?
See, it's again, it's in the primitive stages. We have a long way to go.
All right. The next question that I had with you, okay, there's one more question that has come up. Which department has the highest scope? Is the question.
I'm an orthodontist, so I will say orthodontist.
But if you just step aside and look at the general perspective of how the world is going, how would you answer this question? Not being an orthodontist, how would you answer?
Karthik, frankly speaking, the specialties of dentistry are designed in such a way. Each specialty has its own scope. It again depends on the individual, how he takes it forward from there. So each specialty is great. That's why they are called as specialties.
True. That's very true, Dharmesh. You've been really very political, but I got your first answer. So whoever wants to look at the better scope, take up orthodontics. There's always this question, Dharmesh. I finished my PUC, then I have two options. I can either become an engineer after studying just for 4 years, or if I want to become a doctor, and especially if I look at BDS, it is 4 + 1 years. Then if I want to be a master at that, 4 + 1 + 3. So already 8 years have gone. Then another 2 years, 3 years of gaining clinical experience. So how would somebody really be motivated during this entire duration? Because their friends would have already started started work in IT firms or otherwise. Now, how will somebody maintain patience and really be focused and determined throughout this entire duration of studies?
It's a very good question, Karthik, and a very practical question. This everybody, including me, we have underwent this situation, and I would say it's a peer pressure. My batchmates who were with me from the childhood, with whom I studied, they joined engineering and I joined BDS. So after 4 years, immediately they got a job and they were getting handsome salary for how much ever it is. But I was still a student because I was doing my internship. So 5 years, again 3 years, or plus 2 years. Okay. All this time and the perseverance of the individual which will drive you. And before making the decision of joining the BDS, for the students who are in the crossroads, say after the plus 2, who are not who are still deciding to take up the BDS, I would suggest is, see, first you decide whether you want to work somebody or you want to work yourself. You want to be self-employed.
Yes.
See, no doubt, as an engineer or any other branch or subject, after few years, 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, you will be working for somebody. Okay, as a dentist, you will not be working for somebody. In fact, you will not be a job seeker, you will be a job giver. Imagine you start a clinic, you will be giving jobs to other 2 or 3 people and you are bringing up their family. So as it's Atmanirbhar is the right word.
That was an excellent answer, because this is what everybody wants to achieve someday in their life, where they are in control of their job. So I think this line about you, somebody taking up BDS, you will be a job giver.
Over to you.
Yes, please go ahead.
All right. The other question is, again, can you please share the steps and procedure that you underwent to practice abroad? Because most of us have a very blur idea about it. It's not very clear.
Okay. I'm presently practicing I'm a consultant in Oman. So I'll tell you about Oman. When I said I want to practice in Oman, one of my friend, my senior, she is there. She has been practicing there. So I requested her to call me as a consultant. So what she did is we need to have a sponsorer for that. So she became my sponsorer, and she did my paperwork, and I applied for the exams. Usually what happens is we have to do something called as the data flow, wherein they check all our certificate, the genuineness of our certificate, and they cross-verify, and you'll be allowed to take up the exams. You clear the theory, and then you clear the practicals. Once you clear both, only then you'll be eligible to get the license and practice.
There was a follow-up question, Dharmesh. Did you write any exam for your practice in Oman?
Yes, Karthik. I see even you say abroad, the rules are very stringent. So you are supposed to write a theory exam, and only if you clear theory exam, then you will be eligible to take up the practical exams. Once you in the practical exams, you are supposed to present your cases, and there will be Viva OC. So once you clear that, only then you will be allowed to take. They'll give you the license to practice.
All right. So do we have any more questions from the audience before I ask set of questions to Dr. Dharmesh? All right. So we'll just take the questions as and when it comes. The other question that I had in mind, in fact, most of my questions are revolving around finance. Why? Because there is always this conception or misconception, or probably this is the reality as well, that any study when it comes to life sciences is always costlier. So somebody has done their BDS 4+1 years and planning to start a clinic. What is the initial investment that somebody should have in order to start a clinic of their own?
To be very frank, to start a decent clinical setup, you need to have about an investment of about 5 to 10 lakhs. Is the initial investment, for which you will get a lot of professional loans or doctor's loans. And now the Dental Council India is speaking to our Minister Gadkari ji, wherein they are planning to bring the dentistry under MSME scheme. So you will be you will be getting a lot of subsidies and loans and subsidies on the interest, and when if you want to buy the machineries, you will be getting a lot of discounts, not the discount, subsidiaries. So if that happens, then it's really good, and 5 to 10 lakhs is a good amount to start the initial practice.
Somebody was asking what is MSME. So MSME is medium and small scale enterprises. So the industry will come under that. So Dharmesh, could you just throw light on what kind of loans does it come under? Does it come under personal loan? Which category does it come under? Does it come under the interest rate of personal loan, or does it come under a professional loan? What is the approximate percentage that banks charge?
Karthik, we have a special loan called as doctor's loan.
Oh, okay.
So most of the banks they provide the doctor's loan. So doctor's loan is less than the rate of interest of doctor's loan is less than that of the personal loan, which is really high.
Okay, so when can somebody?
Usually,
please go ahead, Dharmesh.
Usually, if you want to avail a doctor's loan, you just have to give your certificate. So that is the trust they have on the doctors, and you get the loan. The degree certificate, based on the degree certificate, they get the loan. They allot the loan.
There's one more follow-up question on the exam that you wrote for Oman. The question is the exam based on all the subjects that you have studied in BDS, or is it based on a few of them?
No, if you are looking at as a post BDS, if you are looking, then it will be based on all the subjects. If you are looking as a specialist, then only your specialty. And to make it very clear, if you are looking post BDS, then you will not have practical exams. It's only the prometric theory exams that you are supposed to clear. When you are looking post MDS, then you have to have 4 years experience, plus you are supposed to present your cases, and you are supposed to give your theory and the practical exams also. So
all right, so that gives a clear picture as to what is the format of the exam. One other thing that we always keep talking about is learning. Learning should be continuous. So how important do you think students who are pursuing their BDS or doctors themselves to keep in touch with latest technologies with respect to the materials that they use and upcoming research? How important is it? How much is the time that they need to devote for self-learning?
Karthik, I would like to tell you one thing here. If you want to be a student, you should be good at learning, and if you want to be a good practitioner in the long run, you should be good at unlearning and learning.
Good one.
The reason why I'm making this statement is that technology is growing so fast. So the 10 years back, what I have learned, now it might not be there. So I should be able to acquire the new technologies, the new techniques that is there in the market, and I should be able to practice it. Okay, and I should be able to learn Yeah. So what happens is, if I don't unlearn, means if I don't stop practicing what I have learned 10 years back, it doesn't apply in all the cases, but in the few cases, most of the cases, what happens is, if I don't unlearn what I have learned, then I'll not be having, and then I'll not be learning the new skill sets. So if you don't learn the new skill sets, then within no time you'll be obsolete.
Yeah, that was perfectly put. If you need to be a good practitioner in the long run, you should be good at unlearning whatever you have learned so far. That's brilliant. There's one more question, very interesting question. Somebody wants to do law after BDS. Now, what is your take on that?
Yes, definitely they can do it. Quite a few of our students are doing it, and which it's a very good question. And so basically, what happens is, right now we have quite a few medical legal cases. So the person with the experience of dentistry and who knows the law on the other hand, they'll be able to handle it better. So there is an option for it. One of our student has done her BDS and MDS. Now she is doing her. Last year she joined into NLS.
All right, that's quite interesting. There's one more question that has been there, and one of the people from the audience have asked us as well. There is this fact that engineers who pass out of bachelors of engineering, close to 80% of them are unemployable, which means they have not learned the required skill sets. They are not job ready. Now, if I look at BDS, do you think the colleges, the syllabus that is being taught is up to date with respect to the latest developments? That's the first question. The second question, do colleges have up to date technology, the latest technology, when they are teaching the children?
Yes, Karthik. See, I am teaching in Rajarajeshwari Dental College. So what we have is, if we have to get the approval for the seats, so we usually, our Dental Council of India comes and they do the inspection, and they have the set of criteria that so many chairs should be there, so many, whatever the latest technology equipment is there, so it has to be there. But at the level of BDS, whether you will be using that is the question. But definitely at the level of postgraduates, you will be, as I told you, it's the mastering of the subject. Definitely you will be using it.
What about the syllabus, Dharmesh? Is the syllabus up to date to whatever is happening in terms of the research, latest research?
I don't say it's very much up to date, but again, Karthik, our syllabus was designed quite a long time back. There are changes that has been made to our subjects, but when it comes to masters, yes, each and every department, they have upgraded themselves and they have been teaching. At the BDS level, yes, to some extent, yes. But if you are interested, then again, as I told you, you have to attend some courses, hands-on courses, and learn. There is so much to learn. There is no end, actually. There is so much to learn. So,
yeah, there's one more question from the audience. Is there something called as forensic dentistry? Is that course really the course for the future?
Forensic dentistry, yes. Yes, but I would suggest it's still in the primitive stages when it comes to in India, and not many colleges are offering the course. But if you're looking at abroad, then forensic dentistry is a very, very important subject.
There's one question, specific question related to dentistry that we have got in the chat box. Can you give some advantages or some interesting points about aligners?
Yes, aligners, again, as I told you, Karthik, it's a new technology. In the Indian scenario, it was not there about 10 years back. It's a new technology. So they have their own advantages. See, if you say we put the braces onto the teeth and we start moving the teeth with the aligners without any braces. The aligners are something like a plastic molds which we move the teeth, and it is based on the 3D technology. So usually what we do is before they used to think that only few types of teeth movement used to be was done with the aligners, but now with the technology, 3D imaging and 3D printing technology, we are able to do most of the treatment, almost all the treatment with the aligners.
All right. I have a childlike question, Dr. Dharmesh. The question is it necessary that somebody has to brush their teeth twice a day as a dentist? Do you think it is mandatory? It's a childlike question, but forgive me if this does not suit this session.
I would say yes. I don't want to mislead others. I would say yes.
All right, and one other thing that people really do not give much attention to is frequent visits to the dentist to do the basic cleaning. So what do you think is the percentage of the population which are actually doing it seriously, and what happens if this gets neglected?
See, in case of the Indian scenario, Karthik, the one of the drawbacks of dentistry is no insurance covers the dentistry.
Oh yes.
And dental procedures. This is what I want to highlight. So what happens is, when it comes to abroad, everybody pays the insurance, and everybody's dental treatment is covered under insurance. So what happens? They have the habit of going and visiting the dentist every once in 6 months, but that is not the case in India. So I don't recommend strongly that you should go every 6 months, but again depends on the person. It's better. Your dentist is the right person to suggest you, looking at your mouth, whether you have to come once in 6 months or once in a year.
All right, to the audience out here, we have already crossed 1 hour. I have a couple more questions that I would like to ask Dr. Dharmesh, and if we have a couple of more coming in from you, we will take these questions and we'll wind up the session. So, do you have any alternate courses like Unani or homeopathy or Ayurveda when it comes to dentistry, Dr. Dharmesh?
No, Unani, similar to Unani, Ayurvedic, no, Karthik. There is no course. Karthik, to be very specific, as I told you, it's a Bachelor of Dental Surgery. You need to be a surgeon to perform. Just by prescribing the medicines, your ailment will not be relieved.
I think that was pretty straightforward.
We call dentistry is the art and science.
Yeah,
it's the art and science. So you need to have artistic skills, and you need to have a mind of a scientist, Karthik. Dentistry is one amazing subject. I am passionate about it.
super. There's one question from the audience. We actually addressed this question sometime before, but would just like to add to one of the points there. How should somebody prepare for the examinations abroad right from their UG days? What are the subjects that somebody should focus more on, is the question, Dr. Dharmesh.
Usually, when you say abroad exams, they'll be the question pattern will be based on the UK questions. So when it comes to the Middle East, this is what I have faced. So most of the questions are clinically oriented. So if they are looking at abroad, then I would suggest concentrate more on the clinical subject questions That's what they'll be looking at. Don't blame me if they ask you any the basic subject questions, and if you are not able to answer, then don't blame me. Please study everything, but concentrate on the clinical subject.
Yeah, thank you, Dharmesh. We have room for one last question from the audience before we wind up this session. Anyone has? Oh yes, I have one question. I would be taking this as the last question. Doctor, how can we make this a necessity or a compulsion for every citizen for a dental checkup? A routine dental check for every citizen. How can we get there is the question.
So, okay. See, there are different ways. As a dentist, I myself will not be able to do it. To create awareness, we need to involve the media. The government has to pass on the laws, and the insurance should come into the picture. And we as dentists and specialists, all of us should work together and make this happen. In this loop, even if one person is missing, then it's very difficult.
No, just adding on to the point of insurance. No, is there any specific reason why insurance is not covered? Why BDS is not coming under insurance? Why are these therapies not coming under insurance?
See, if you see, unlike before they used to think all the dental treatment is the aesthetic, the cosmetic treatment.
Okay.
So even when I see the insurance or the reimbursement that is claimed by some, when I give my prescription after doing the treatment, when I give my prescription and when I note down the treatment, so very few treatments are covered under the reimbursement procedures for the engineers and few of the companies. They don't cover all the procedure. If I say it's a composite filling, then they think it's an aesthetic, cosmetic treatment. They don't cover it. If it is an extraction, they say it covers under that. So again, as I told you, it's our responsibility to create the awareness and get in the insurance people. It is difficult to make the insurance company aware. That is more important.
All right. So, do you think DCI? This might be a political question, but I'm still asking you out of curiosity. Do you think DCI, Dental Council of India, is doing enough to bring the insurance players into the system?
Karthik, DC has so many other things to do. Yeah, they have been doing a wonderful job. To tell you very frankly, it's been about 20 years, 25 years. In 95 I joined as a BDS, and now it's been 25 years. From the time when I joined as for graduation till now, there is a lot of improvement. There is a lot of hard work that they have put, the DC has put, and they have brought our profession to this level. I'm sure our DCA will bring some norms to involve, and if the insurance company starts covering our treatment, then there is nobody to stop us.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Dharmesh. I'm getting a lot of questions, but what I would definitely do is Dr. Dharmesh, with your permission, can I share your email address to the participants who have joined on the call so that they can reach out to you?
I would request you to give my number and ask them to WhatsApp me. That is better instead of email.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, usually people do not give their numbers, so I really appreciate you for giving your number. So, to all the people in the call here, if you want to know more about it, because the session time is quite limited, I will share Dr. Dharmesh's WhatsApp number to you. You can definitely reach out to Dr. Dharmesh for any further queries that you have, and you have any questions that remain unanswered during this session. Dr. Dharmesh, the last question that I have for you, this is one question that I ask every panelist who comes on to the session. Your career, was it a choice or did it happen by chance?
Let me tell you very frankly, it is by chance. My parents wanted me to become a doctor, or MBBS. Wanted me to study MBBS, but I became a dentist. But I don't have any regrets. I am very proud of it. Today, standing here, I'm very proud of it, and I've been passionate about my dentistry and orthodontics, and I'm proud of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Dharmesh. Before we log out, I have
Karthik, before we log out, I would tell you two things. One is, see, if people who are looking at BDS, unlike MBBS, there is no emergency calls, night shifts. Okay, that is one of the biggest advantage as a dentist. Apart from our experience, Karthik, initially you told me, we come across different out of the box or out of the way situations. Other than that, no emergencies as such. That is one thing. And especially the girls, the women, if you are looking at it, then you will be able to work as a specialist. I mean, you'll be able to start treating, and you'll be self-sustained. That is for the women empowerment. If you see, you don't have to depend on anybody. You can start your clinic, and you will be able to employ few people, and you will be able to run the show. So the girls, go ahead and take it. It's a good subject. It's an amazing subject, and it's you will have decent and good life. And if you are doing good, then nothing like it.
Super, Dharmesh. Those were very good closing comments. I have messaged all of you in the chat box a Google form that asks feedback about this session. So before you all log out, it's my humble request, if you feel that the last 1 hour 15 minutes really gave you a lot of information, really was an eye-opener, or if you felt the last 1 hour or 1 hour 15 minutes was a waste of time, I want you to just take 2 minutes of your time and fill the Google form questionnaire that is there. Of course, it is anonymous, so you don't need to be bothered about, you don't need to worry that whether my name is there. So I request all of you to please open the form that's there in the chat box. Kindly submit your responses before you leave the session. Dr. Dharmesh, it was amazing having you here with us over the past 1 hour, almost 1 hour 15 minutes. Thank you so much. Do you have any last bit of advice to all the youngsters out there?
People who are if you say BDS, it's a long, it's a 5 years course, and again post graduation. You will have to spend a lot of time, and you will have to do it. But at the end, yes, you will be self-sufficient, and you will be able to practice, and you will have that satisfaction, work satisfaction. That is what is more important. And if you have your own practice, you are not under anybody for that matter. You will not be under anybody. It's you, and you are the owner of it, and you practice, and you will be happy about it. Go ahead and choose it if you are looking at BDS as an option.
Super, Dr. Dharmesh, but you're making me regret taking the decision, because I'm not able to be a job giver, just like who you are. One thing is for sure, if you take up BDS, you can definitely bring that amazing smile on somebody's face, and it is literally possible from you. To all the people who have joined this session, the recording of this video will be available in my YouTube channel. For those of you who have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, the YouTube channel will have such sessions with various streams and various other streams in the future as well. So I will type my name with which the YouTube channel is available. It is Karthik Krishnan B. So you can type this in YouTube. You will find my channel. You can definitely go subscribe for more such sessions. One last time, thank you so much, Dr. Dharmesh, for being on this call and enlightening us about BDS. Thank you so much, Dr. Dharmesh.
Karthik, before that, I would suggest the viewers, if they want to learn how we can bring a good smile and changes in the face, they can log into my YouTube, type it as Dharmesh HS, Dr. Dharmesh HS, orthodontist, and they'll find a lot of cases where you have brought a lot of amazing changes in the face. They can look at it. I have uploaded very few cases, and in the future I am going to upload a lot of cases. They can just log in and they can see what orthodontics can do.
Super. I have typed your name as it appears in the YouTube channel in the chat box. So I request all of you to kindly subscribe to 2 YouTube channels now, not just one, my YouTube channel and the amazing speaker of the day, Dr. Dharmesh. Once again, one last request, kindly fill the feedback forms. The feedback forms will really help me and my team work on how we can make the next sessions better, and your feedback as always is highly invaluable. So thank you so much, each one of you. Namaste, have a nice day, good night, Shubharatri.
Thank you, Karthik, for giving an opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dharmesh.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Thank you.
ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬಂತು ಸೆಷನ್. ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಾಯ್ತು ಸೆಷನ್. ಸೂಪರಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ರಮೇಶ್, ಸಖತ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು.
ಹೇಳಿಲ್ವಾ ನಿನ್ ಜೊತೆ
ಫುಲ್ಲು ಪಂಚ್ ಲೈನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ್ರ ನೋಡು.
ಏನ್ ಫೋನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅದ ಮೋಹನ್ ಮನೆಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ. ಟಿವಿ ಒಂದು ಇದ್ದಿತ್ತು. ಈಶ್ವರಪ್ಪನಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಜೋಸಫ್